Hey there, and welcome to our latest edition of Let's Get Technical. I'm Laura Cheney, and today we're going to talk about nominal sizes and tolerance. A nominal size is really a name that's given to something for identification purposes, so it's kind of like a nickname. When you walk into a deli and you order a foot-long sub, is that sandwich really 12 inches? Or when you go to the grocery store and you purchase a half a gallon of ice cream, do you truly get a half a gallon of ice cream? That one's kind of maddening. Construction materials are all usually referenced to in nominal sizing, especially lumber. Concrete pavers are no different. We refer to our pavers in nominal sizing. For example, our traditional pressed brick 6x6 has a true dimension of 5 7/8 by 5 7/8. So lay it out. If you plan your patio or rooftop using nominal sizing, you could have a couple issues. You could run short on materials and your joints could be all out of whack. Know your material, but also plan for your installation method. All installation methods bring with them different joint widths. For example, a sand setting bed has a typical joint width of a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch. This sand setting bed and sand joint makes it easy to accommodate those different nominal sizing by simply opening up that joint a little wider or making that joint a little more narrow. A pedestal set application also requires planning ahead. We have that vertical spacer on our pedestal to work with that's an 1/8 of an inch. The purpose of the vertical spacer is to ensure proper spacing from paver to paver and make sure that those two pavers don't come in contact with one another. So it's important. Line it up. Concrete pavers are an attribute to any application. They play a major role in design, meaning that if you want your pavers to line up with mullions, drains, entryways, window frames, etc. So a 23.5 by 23.5 inch paver set on pedestals with an 1/8 inch joint has a finished dimension of 23 5/8. Well, suppose your design intent is 24 inch. We have a series of pressed pavers that are dimensionally compatible, but then we also have additional pressed paver sizes. So by planning ahead, we can produce a 23 7/8 by 23 7/8 inch square. Now when set on that pedestal with that 1/8 inch spacer, you now meet that full 24 inch grid that was required. Lots of paving patterns can be achieved when set on pedestals, just making sure that the pavers that you're planning for are dimensionally compatible. So let's talk about tolerance. Tolerance really is just how much a true measurement can range from what's intended. In the past, all construction materials were manufactured on site. So all cement was mixed on site, all trusses were customized and built on site. Then with the introduction of prefabricated materials, it brought with it convenience and cost savings. With time and experience, industry tolerances were developed. Those later became industry standards. Being able to manufacture materials in a controlled plant environment gives us the ability to produce material to those standards. For example, our pressed paver materials are produced in accordance with ASTM 1782, C1782, and our pressed brick in accordance with C936. Both state paver tolerance at plus or minus an 1/8 of an inch. Now, although the industry has these standards and tolerance is acceptable, some infield adjustments may need to be made. Tolerance is measured in any direction. So if you have a pressed paver that's maybe an 1/8 inch thick and one that's an 1/8 inch thin, when laid together, you're going to have an offset. So those need to be accommodated maybe with the sand setting bed. So it's easy in a sand setting bed, you can actually add to or take away from that sand setting bed. Pressed bricks in a sand setting bed with the use of a plate compactor, once that's run over the surface of the pavers, will often absorb that tolerance issue into the sand setting bed. Not all setting beds are as forgiving as that sand setting bed. If pavers are being set in a bituminous setting bed, we're going to recommend gauging that material. By gauging that material, we're able to get that tolerance a little bit closer, a 1/16 or a 32nd. Gauging that material is going to increase your installation efficiency by taking the guesswork out of it, less picking up and putting down. It's important to note that the finished thickness on a gauge material is going to be about an 1/8 of an inch less than the manufactured thickness. For example, our 2 3/8 inch produced material has a gauged finished thickness of 2 1/4. Important to note when pouring your slab, when you're talking about entryways, thresholds, so plan for that. Pedestal set applications are no different. These tolerance issues or tolerance changes can be accommodated with adjustable pedestals or the use of leveling shims. Now, we talked to you about nominal sizing and tolerance because of design intent, but it's also a safety issue. The ADAAG guidelines state that paver to paver joints and horizontal and vertical joints should not exceed 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 of an inch with a bevel. Plan ahead and increase the aesthetics of your project. You can plan for intricate paving patterns, reduce pedestal costs and material costs, and hopefully avoid some unnecessary cuts. All of our finished dimensions can be found on our materials cut sheets. Those are located in our resource center on our website. So for your next paver project, make sure that you lay it out and line it up.